BRICS summit and Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to Africa. Under the mains of the editorial discussion, we will be seeing India's Magna Carta, which is a recent article in Hindu about marking 100 years of Montagu Report, and then the Fugitive Economic Offenders Bill 2018. Our first topic is Kargil Vijay Divas. India celebrated the 19th anniversary of Kargil Vijay Divas in 26th July, and it was to commemorate the sacrifices of our brave soldiers in the Kargil War of 1999. It was on this day that the Indian Army recaptured all the Indian posts in Kargil, which was occupied by the Pakistan Army. And this operation was known as Operation Vijay. To celebrate the success of this operation, we celebrate 26th July as Kargil Vijay Divas. So, moving to some geographical aspects of this region. From the figure, you can see this is Kargil. It is a district in Ladakh region. And it is a mountainous region with a difficult terrain, and situated on the banks of the river Suru. This river is a tributary of Indus River. So, from prelims perspective, it is important to know the right and left bank tributaries of all Indian rivers and all Indian rivers. And now, also you should understand which are the important mountain passes and mountain regions in this region. For example, Sojila is an important mountain pass in this region. Now, National Highway NH1D passes through Kargil. So this national highway connects Srinagar and Leh through Kargil. So this is NH1D passes through Kargil. So these are some of the aspects about this topic. Moving to our next topic, it is BRICS, an acronym for Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. You know the 2018 BRICS summit is going on in Johannesburg, South Africa. Before that, we will see a little history about BRICS. Initially, South Africa was not a part of BRICS, and then it was BRIC. So the first BRICS summit was held in June 2009 in Russia. Later in 2010, South Africa was invited to join the grouping, and thus it became BRICS. So every year, BRICS Leaders Summit is organized, and the chairship of this forum is rotated annually among these countries in the order of Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. So this year it is in South Africa. Next year the chairship will be given to Brazil. This was the 10th BRICS Summit, and the theme for this summit is BRICS in Africa, Collaboration for Inclusive Growth and Shared Prosperity in the 4th Industrial Revolution. The 9th BRICS Summit was held in Xiamen, China. The important aspect about this year's summit is that for the first time, BRICS leaders retreat is being organized, wherein the leaders will deliberate and take stock of the BRICS cooperation in the last 10 years and also about the future prospects of BRICS cooperation. Along with this, we will see Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to Africa. So, you know, he visited Africa mainly to attend this BRICS summit. Before going to South Africa, he visited 2 other countries in Africa. They are the small country Rwanda and Uganda. So, we will see the highlights of Prime Minister's visit to these countries. Rwanda is one of the fastest growing economies in Africa, and our Prime Minister visited the businesses and Indian community in this country. Also, he extended $200 million of line of credit to the Rwanda government. Of this, 100 million is for the development of industrial sector and also the Kigali Special Economic Zone. You will be familiar with Kigali Agreement, which was an amendment to the Montreal Protocol and to reduce the use and manufacture of hydrofluorocarbon, which was a potent greenhouse gas. Now, Kigali is the capital of Rwanda, and then the rest $100 million, it is for the development of agricultural sector. Along with this, he gifted 200 cows to the program called as Girinka. This is a social sector program of the Rwanda government in which 1 cow is provided to each poor family. So our Prime Minister gifted 200 cows to this program. Then there was also discussions to open an Indian High Commission in Rwanda. Indian High Commission in Rwanda. Apart from these, our Prime Minister signed around 8 memorandum of understandings on cooperation in the field of trade, defense, agriculture, and animal resources. After this, he visited Uganda. He was the first Prime Minister to visit Uganda in nearly 2 decades, and he addressed the Ugandan Parliament. Here also, he signed various agreements to improve the bilateral relations with the country. Later, he went to South Africa. So if you see India-South Africa relations, it dates back to several decades, especially because India was in the forefront of the international community to support the anti-apartheid movement in South Africa. And 2018 marks the 25 years of resumption of diplomatic relations with India and South Africa back in 1993. Also, the diaspora in South Africa, the South African Indian community is around 1.5 million of the population, and it is around 3% of the total population of South Africa. So these are some of the aspects about Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to Africa. The geographical aspects of this region from prelims perspective, you should know. Look, you can see here it is Uganda, here you have Rwanda. So you should know about the important mountain ranges, the rivers, and also you know Africa is the only continent through which Tropic of Cancer, Tropic of Capricorn, and equator passes. So Uganda is a country through which equator passes. You should know about the countries through which equator and this tropics passes. Now our next topic is the Fugitive Economic Offenders Bill 2018. We will see the highlights of the bill and key issues regarding the bill. So you know it was after Vijay Mallya fled the country to avoid arrest for economic offense, and then there was the Nirav Modi PNB issue, after which government brought this bill. So this bill allows a person to be declared as fugitive economic offender. So who is a fugitive economic offender? If an arrest warrant is issued against a person for an offense which involves value over rupees 100 crore, and if the person has fled the country and refuses to come back, that person can be declared as a fugitive economic offender. Now, to declare a person as fugitive economic offender, an application will be submitted to a special court. And the special court will be designated under the Prevention of Money Laundering Act 2002. In this application, all the details about the person's properties which is to be confiscated will be included, and also the person's whereabouts, if it is known, that will also be included. Now this court will ask the person to appear in front of it on a special in a special place before almost 6 weeks of the issue of notice. If the person appears, the proceedings will be cancelled. Also, there is a provision to attach or confiscate the properties of the offender even when the application is pending before the court. Now, if a person is declared as fugitive economic offender, then the central government can confiscate and attach the property to central government. No one can raise any claim or right to that property. The bill also contains provision barring the offender and his associated companies for filing or defending any civil cases. Filing or defending any civil cases in any court. So these are some of the important highlights of the bill. Coming to the key issues, it is regarding the first provision where the offender and his associated company is barred from filing or defending civil claims. So this provision violates Article 21, which is the right to life. And it is interpreted that Article 21 also includes right to access justice. So this provision clearly is violating the right to access justice. Coming to the next provision, it is the bill does not require the authorities to obtain a search warrant or ensure the presence of any witnessee during the search operation. So this clearly differs from other laws like the CRPC of 1973, which provides for such safeguards. And these safeguards are very necessary to prevent harassment and also from implanting unnecessary evidences. The next provision is that the bill allows the special court to exempt properties where certain persons may have an interest in such property. Here the certain persons may be a secured creditor. A secured creditor means a bank or any other asset-based lenders who have interest in this property. So such properties can be exempted, while it is not mentioning about whether the government will share the sale of the proceeds with unsecured creditors. Unsecured creditors are lenders to whom the offender may owe money for any services provided, but these creditors, they won't have any collateral from the offender. So in their case is not properly mentioned in the bill. And then the confiscation of property of the person even when the application is pending before the court. This also differs from the CRPC of 1973. Because in CRPC, in this law, it is the confiscation of property happens only after 2 years when the person is declared absconder. So these are some of the issues of this bill. On to our last topic, it is India's Magna Carta, an article marking the 100th year of the Montagu Report. So this report was published in 1918, and it is also known as Report on Indian Constitutional Reforms. It was actually a set of recommendations given to the British Parliament by the then Secretary of State, Edwin Samuel Montagu, and the Viceroy, Lord Chelmsford. This report was made after a lengthy deliberation between the Secretary of State and the Viceroy, and also after taking the opinion of various Indian representatives. This became the theoretical basis for the Government of India Act of 1919. So what is the important aspect of this report is, at that time it brought some radical administrative changes and also gave the responsibility of self-governance to the provincial governments. So if you see Montagu's statement in August 1917, he states that the policy of government is to increase the participation of Indians in every branch of administration and to develop the institutions in such a way to realize self-government. So the importance of this statement is that till then, demand for self-government was an act of sedition. Now it has become the policy of government. So this demand for self-government was no more considered as an act of sedition. The provisions in this report was included to frame the Government of India Act 1919. We will see some of the important provisions of this act. So you can see there was an introduction of diarchy. Diarchy means there was a set of popular ministers and executive councillors to rule the provinces, and then there was two lists, that is the reserved list and the transferred list. The reserved list was kept with the governor and the transferred list with the popular ministers. Also, women were given the right to vote. Then the legislatures in the provinces enjoyed freedom of speech. Coming to the central legislature, there was a bicameral arrangement was introduced. That is, there was a lower house and an upper house. Also in the central legislatures, part of the budgets could be voted, but 75% of the budget was still not votable. So if you see, there is a lot of drawbacks in this Government of India Act 1919, but some of the key principles of self-governance, responsible government, and federal nature of the government came from this act. And it found its way to the Government of India Act 1935, and from there to our own Indian Constitution. In that way, the author calls it as the Magna Carta of modern India. So this much is for today's topics. Thank you so much.